So you're thinking about trying the specific carbohydrate diet. You've got Crohn's or you've got colitis and you've heard that it can dramatically reduce your symptoms. Well, first of all, I just have to give you an amen, sister friend, and I gotta give you some virtual high fives. It's awesome. I'm so proud of you for thinking about taking this step. I know firsthand just how powerful the SCD can be. I've been on it for 10 years and it literally saved my life. So when I say I understand how important a step this is, I really get it because I've been there too. And if you're watching this video, I'm willing to bet that you know a little bit about something called Breaking the Vicious Cycle. It's the book written by Elaine Gottschall. It's kind of like the SCD Bible. It tells you everything you need to know, soup to nuts, A to Z, everything you need to know to be successful on the specific carbohydrate diet. So maybe you have that book, maybe you have thought about buying it, maybe you're even ready to get started. But I gotta stop you. I have to stop you. I gotta stop you right there before you go any further. Okay, just a little 80s reference there. Anyway, I gotta stop you right there. I have to stop you because I have some news that I really want to share with you. And this news could dramatically increase the chance that you're going to be successful on this eating plan. Oh, this is so good and juicy. I cannot wait to share this with you. This is the kind of news that will help you over the hump of those first few weeks of the specific carbohydrate diet when you kind of feel like you've gone to crazy town. Yeah, I know the feeling. And it does go away. I promise you it goes away. But yeah, the first few weeks are kind of like crazy town. And this is going to help you eliminate that. It's going to help you see that there are others that are going through it too. You're not alone. There's others out there that are walking the same path as you. And it's going to help you save time and energy. So all of that time and energy that you save, you can focus on you. I gotta say that again. You. Focus on you because yes, tell your family, tell your friends, all points bulletin to them. Let them know that this is the time of you. This is the time you need to spend on you so that you can be the best you can possibly be. And in the Gut Love community, we call that the best mom you can possibly be. So this information is just that good. So what have I got for you today? Well, let me just tell you that over the years, I have had the amazing good fortune to work with many moms on their SCD journey. I've been doing the specific carbohydrate diet, like I said, for 10 years, and so I've had the pleasure of mentoring other moms as they take that SCD journey. And there's something that I've noticed over time. I've noticed that there is one thing that's a huge predictor over all others. There's a huge predictor of whether somebody will be successful on this eating plan. And that's what we call their preparedness. It's not a word that you hear all that often, but it's a word. Preparedness. How prepared are they to take those steps? Did they put the work in ahead of time so they would then be successful? Did they do that or not? And that is a huge predictor of whether they are successful in the long term, years and years and years down the road. It's a good predictor of whether they will be successful or not. So I got to thinking to myself, how can I help more moms with this? How can I help more moms be prepared, be as prepared as they can be when they start this eating plan? I was thinking about this and then it hit me. Why not talk to other moms? Why not talk to other veteran ladies who have walked this walk before, who have talked this talk before? Ladies that are on the SCD journey. Veterans, if you will, of this eating plan. Why not talk to them and ask them, what was it for them? What worked for them in those beginning stages? So that's exactly what I did. I went to several SCD women out there and I asked them this question. And I'm gonna read it verbatim because I want you to see exactly what I said. If you could go back in time and start SCD again, what do you wish you knew about the specific carbohydrate diet before you started? Oh man, did I get a firestorm of amazing information. You are going to want to watch this. So if you don't already have a pen and a paper, a computer, a phone, something you can jot all this down in, pause the video, take a quick break, grab a cup of tea, get a glass of wine. I've got my tea here. It's daytime after all, so it's tea for me. Okay, so take a little break. Pause it, go get something to write with, and join me right back here because you are going to want to hear this. This information on what these ladies had to say it's gonna change your whole SCD experience, and that's what I want for you. Now, like I said, I've been doing the SCD for a long time too. And so over the years, I've kind of compiled my list of things that I wish that I knew before I got started. And so I created this little handy dandy list I'm calling my top 10 things I wish I knew before starting SCD. It's my little homage to David Letterman, the top 10 list thing and all. And so I created that too. And that's gonna be free for all of the mamas out there in the Gut Love community. What? What? You're not a member of the Gut Love community? Well, this is the perfect opportunity to join us in there. This is an amazing group of moms with Crohn's and colitis, all looking for ways to heal naturally, to quiet symptoms naturally when we have IBD. It's full of gut-loving recipes, how-tos, step-by-steps, videos like this one, workshops that are free, and it's all just for the Gut Love community. So if you're not part of our GLC, then what are you waiting for? Come and join us. There's a link below this video, and just for joining, you will also get that top 10 list. My top 10 list of things I wish I knew before starting SCD. Okay, are you ready with your pen and paper? Are you ready with something to drink? Let's get started with the reason that we're all here. Okay, so do you remember the question? Let's do it one more time. If you could go back in time and start again, what do you wish you knew about the specific carbohydrate diet before you got started? All right, here we go. The first answer comes from the lovely Jolene. Thank you, Jolene. Here, and I quote, Jolene says, "One thing that I wished I had done was ask for more help in the beginning. After a while, I realized that if I set my significant other up, he could help without having to know much." So we can't do this alone. We certainly cannot do this alone. In fact, you really will not be successful is really what she's saying. At the heart of what she's saying is that involve others. So she goes on to say, for example, we always have a bag of carrots in the fridge, and I would buy legal meats. We know the legal and illegal terms. That's what we're talking about in the specific carbohydrate diet. Legal things are things you can eat. Illegal things would be things that you would stay away from, foods you would stay away from. So she says, I would buy legal meats. Then if he comes home first, he knows he can throw chicken and a few carrots on a pan, add a little water, salt, pepper, pop it in the oven, and dinner is ready for me when I get home. So at the heart of this recommendation, what Jolene is talking about is a system. A system. It's about developing a system that works for your family. You really cannot go into the SCD alone. Don't try it alone, right? What's that saying about not trying it alone? Before you get started, you want to have a really heart-to-heart with your family, including your kids. Make it age dependent, right? Depending on what their age level is, but you want to have a system in place, and Jolene has an awesome system in place where she already has things in the fridge for her hubby, and he can then help make the meal until she gets home. Then she goes on to say, also, it took me a while to let go of my preconceived thoughts about what a meal should be, keeping it simple with foods I like and tolerate, rather than trying to recreate a non-SCD meal all the time. You may get weird looks for eating that blended green soup for breakfast, but it works. There's so much goodness in there that I really want to unpack this a little bit because it's so good. So she talks about keeping it simple. This meal does not have to be gourmet, does it? Let's keep it simple. She talks about recreating a non-SCD meal. What she's talking about is we don't need to make SCD legal mac and cheese. We don't need to make SCD legal spaghetti, right? We can keep this simple. We don't have to make it challenging. We don't have to make it difficult for us. Let's just keep it non-gourmet, keep it something that's doable. So she talks about getting creative with your food, thinking outside the box. She mentions a blended green soup for breakfast. Think outside the box. We don't have to have a traditional, the cool thing is actually when I think about it, we're not limited by the boxed breakfast cereal anymore, right? When this whole new nutrition paradise opens up to us, it takes the limits off. And so absolutely, heck yeah, thanks Jolene, you can have blended soup for breakfast. Next up, Natalie shares with us some advice. Here's what she says. I think mentioning common problematic foods is helpful. I was able to narrow down my son's issues to excess fructose, particularly applesauce and honey and peanut butter. Everyone is different with different tolerances, but fructose and peanut butter keep coming up in threads and books. Those are definitely common ones to look out for. And here's the deal here, ladies. I wish I had a magic wand. I wish I could wave that wand and say, everybody eat this and stay away from this, and the world will open up to you. You'll be fine. Your Crohn's and colitis will be healed. But here's the thing. In my opinion, the beauty of the specific carbohydrate diet is that we pull back all of those foods and we add them in one by one. And not to get you kind of worried about how this actually works, but I kind of liken it to a baby who's trying all those new foods for the first time. And you're kind of waiting, in fact, to say, like, how did they react to that? The specific carbohydrate diet beginning stages is a lot like that. So you're adding in one new food at a time and you're waiting to see how you react to that food. So it's going to be amazing because you're going to figure out what are those intolerances and tolerances for my own specific body. So no, I don't have a magic wand, but actually you have your own magic wand so that you can wave it on yourself, not overnight, it does take time, but you can wave it on yourself and figure out what are those foods. And what Natalie is saying is just keep in mind that fructose and things like applesauce, and pear sauce and in peanut butter, those sometimes can be an issue for people with Crohn's and colitis. One last thing that Natalie mentions that I definitely want to make a point of is she says, keep a food journal. Amen to this one. I mean, how many times do I tell you guys, keep a food journal? Every single client that works with me starts with a food journal. We have to have a food journal because that's how we figure out what's happening. And you might be thinking, oh, I know I can keep it in my head, but trust me, mom friend, with all the things that are going on, the carpool, the work, the this, the that, everything that we have in our life, we will not remember. So definitely keep a food journal because that's going to help you keep track of what foods you tolerate and what foods you don't. Another friend, an SCD veteran, has this to say, and ooh, this is good. Be prepared for naysayers, including doctors and family, by having a good support system. Have some one-liners you can use when someone questions your diet choice, when you're at a party and can't eat anything there, or when you need to ask a restaurant for help to find a legal meal choice. Oh, all of these took me way too long. I think I wasted a lot of time on this because, to be really honest with you guys, there was just a lot of embarrassment there. I was embarrassed to be different, embarrassed to ask for what I needed, and in some cases I was new to the diet, so I didn't really even understand what I needed, right? So you have like this triple whammy effect going on. I'm kind of embarrassed by it, and I don't know what my needs are, and I don't want to look different, right? So it was all of those things when I would go out or when I would be at a friend's house. And so in the beginning, I would say things at a restaurant like, I have some food intolerances and I have some sensitivities. And so there's some things that I can't eat like gluten and grains. And they would look at me like, what? I mean, this is well before gluten-free became a household name, let me mind you, but still, I just wasn't specific enough with them. So now what I say is, it's not really that true because I don't have allergies, but they understand the word allergies. So I say, I have food allergies. I am allergic to XYZ, and so I need to know all the ingredients in the food that I would like to order, right? Because they understand allergies, so that's what I do. And again, I'm gonna be honest here and tell you that it was much easier with people that met me after starting SCD. All those people that knew me before SCD, they knew me in a certain way. They knew me as Karen, the chef and the cook and the baker and the person that brought the best food to every meal, to every gathering. And so it was really difficult to introduce them to that new persona that I was. It was easier with people that I've met after. It took a long time. The people whose houses I go to regularly, I did before and I still go to, it's taken time. But it's okay. With this knowledge, you'll know that much sooner. So Marianne shares this gem. Buy the important equipment that will save time and energy. Yogurt maker, good crock pot, good blender. My family of 6 have been on SCD since January 2017. I just broke down and bought a BlendTech blender. It's a game changer. I wish I would have done it sooner. before you get started, do yourself a favor and have a little brain dump and think about all of the things you need. No, you probably won't think about them all, and you can add more in later, but it's great to be able to get started with some of the things that you'll need. You know I've been doing this for a while, so just off the top of my head, some things I think might be helpful for you besides the blender, and yes, I have a high-speed blender. You're gonna be making a lot of soups and pureeing things, and you want to not have chunks and bits in your smoothie and in your soup, right? Do yourself a favor. When you can afford it, go ahead and get a high-speed blender. Blendtec is a great one. The Ninja is a great blender. And of course, the mother of all blenders is the Vitamix. So do yourself a favor and get one of those blenders. Parchment paper is a must. An Instant Pot is fabulous too. It's kind of like a crock pot, but it cooks things faster than that. What else? Glass containers, a nut milk bag. If you don't know what a nut milk bag is, look it up because you're gonna want a nut milk bag. So those are just a few things besides the things that were already mentioned. And of course, I would go ahead and start with at least a few cookbooks. I think that I have every SCD cookbook that was ever made, but there are some fabulous ones out there. So go ahead and just set yourself up for success. Get a few of those cookbooks. Some of my favorites would be Lucy's Kitchen Shop, her cookbook. It's just really easy to make recipes, and I love that. Grain-Free Gourmet is another one. Danielle Walker's first cookbook is an SCD cookbook. I'm blanking on the name of it right now, but that's another good one. Just get yourself a few cookbooks. Go ahead and do a search on the internet so that you'll be ready to get started at least with a few meals in the beginning. Huge shout out and thank you to Gloria for this tip. Gloria says, I think it would be helpful to set expectations that it is, in capital letters, going to be difficult to get used to, as in any new eating plan. Yes, absolutely. It is challenging at first. Remember I said way back in the beginning of this video, it's kind of like going to crazy town? Yeah, it is. It's kind of like going to crazy town. It is completely different from anything you've ever done before. So allow yourself time and allow yourself to make mistakes, right? Maybe one day you slip up and you eat something you're not supposed to eat. Oftentimes what I see happens with people that I work with is that they eat something and they didn't know that it was illegal. These kinds of things can happen all the time, and they do happen in the beginning. So be prepared for it, and it's not a reason to quit, right? Something that I'm not that proud of is that it took me, I read the Breaking the Vicious Cycle book, and it took me 5 years to actually put it into action. Yeah, that's kind of embarrassing, but when I read it, it was like Greek to me. Dry cured cottage cheese, almond flour, almond milk, all of these things I had never heard of before. I'm telling you, this was a long time ago. There was no almond milk on the shelves. People were not using these things. So it was all really confusing to me, and I put it aside, and it took 5 years for me to pick it up again. But when I did, it was like, oh, I'm ready now. I don't know what these things are, but I'm gonna figure it out. And so if that's you, if it's calling you, it's worth it. And yes, you're gonna make some mistakes along the way, and it is a big undertaking, but it's the best undertaking you'll ever take in your life. Love, 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 love this tip from Jennifer. Jennifer says, preparing for functions and events where food is involved, and then in parentheses, weddings, potlucks, restaurants, etc. Prepare your food in advance and bring it with you. Get over the hesitance to whip out your cooler of homemade food. For me, it was more of a mental hurdle to overcome than a logistical one. Did you guys hear that? It's mental, not logistical. Jennifer, I cannot agree with you more here, and I went through exactly the same thing. I remember just feeling so embarrassed. I would have to bring my cooler and everybody is curious about it. And what I had to realize is that is what it is. It's curiosity. It's not putting you down. It's not judgment. And oftentimes those conversations would lead to, hey, well, I've got this gut problem and what's going on here? And we get all too familiar talking about our gut issues. And really, people are just curious about what's going on with you. It's not a judgment. It's just a curiosity factor. And so the way I think to best get over that hurdle is just what Jennifer is saying. Just do it, because it is going to be awkward in the beginning, but the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll be with those kinds of things. And by now, it's 10 years now for me, right? So it's second nature. I just have food, will travel, right? Thanks, Jennifer. I should have been telling you guys where we were at all along, but this is number 7. So we're in the home stretch with these fabulous tips. Haven't they been so great so far? Here's another one from Maria. And Maria says, what caused me to fail at the beginning was too much fruit. I didn't grasp the fact that it was still sugar even though it's natural. It set me back a lot. Now I limit myself to 30 grams of sugar a day, which is about 2 servings, and it's helped me tremendously. So even though on this eating plan we're cutting out refined sugar, that doesn't mean it's sugar-free, right? So just like Maria points out so eloquently, she says it better than me, there is sugar in fruit. It's natural sugar, but there's still sugar in there. So when we're talking about in those beginning stages, things like the applesauce and the pear sauce, we're still talking about sugar here, right? And I think this actually goes back to talking about fructose, right? Was it Natalie mentioned fructose? So here's what we're talking about. A lot of people are sensitive to these things. So we want to limit the amount of sugar that we have on this eating plan. Because what happens when we eat sugar, even that natural sugar in fruit, is sugar feeds bacteria. And so what we're trying to do, right, is get rid of the bad bacteria. And when we eat the sugar, we're feeding the bad bacteria. So this is such a good point, Maria. We definitely want to think about, and remember, it's very individual. Some people can tolerate more sugar than others in their diet, depending on what stage and of dysbiosis they're in their gut. But we really want to think about that. How much sugar are we eating and how is it affecting us? And that's where the food journal will come in and help you make that decision. So here we are with the last, final, but definitely not least tip. This one is so good. So don't put that pencil down just yet. I'm gonna grab a quick cup of tea. Sip of tea. Oh goodness. Okay, and we're gonna hear from Shell. This is our tip number 8. Take a day every week to prepare food. Bring the kids into the kitchen and make it family time. Bam! Shell, awesome. Love this tip. Get the kids involved. Only you know if you want to take the approach of let's do it with the whole family, or I'm just going to do this and I'm going to modify a little bit. In my family, I'm the only one that's fully on the specific carbohydrate diet, but because I cook most of the food, everybody eats like me. Now, that doesn't mean that I might not add a little side dish here and there, but pretty much everyone eats like me. You'll have to decide how that's going to work for your family, but no matter what you decide, get those kids involved in the kitchen, right? Even from the time that my little one was 12 months old and he could stand up, there's this great company, Leaps and Bounds. They have this chair, it's not really even a chair, like a stand that you can put right next to your counter. If your child is old enough to stand, they can sit there and hang out with you. And in the beginning, all he would do is eat the things that I was chopping, the tomatoes, the cucumbers, and he loved them, right? So now you're developing a sense of eating nutritious food with your kid, right? As they get older, they can learn to do other things. They can measure, they can chop, and now I've got teenagers that are making the whole meal, which is awesome, let me tell you. So yeah, get your kids involved. I love that. Shell goes on and gives a few more tips. She says, I always had cooked veggies, fruit, and chicken on hand in the beginning. That way, I had a snack when I was hungry, but had no time to cook a meal. So good. I always tell my clients this at the beginning too, when they're in the beginning stages of SCD. You're gonna be that hangry, right? That hangry word, because you're taking a lot of carbohydrates and sugar, those things that filled you up before, you're taking a lot of those out of your eating plan. So yeah, you're gonna be hungry, hangry in fact, so be prepared for it. Have those snacks at the ready. I have to fix my little guy here. Mr. Super Pooper. Have you guys met Mr. Super Pooper? Mr. Super Pooper. Meet the gang. He fell a little bit, so let me just put him there. Okay, now, Shell, last tip, and this is from Shell, make big batches of soup and freeze them in single portion sizes so that you can grab a jar for lunch on the go. Also, always make meals to include leftovers for breakfast or lunch or a freezer meal. Again, Shell, so awesome. Nail, head, you know what I mean. This is fantastic. I'd say this is an advanced tip, but it's an awesome tip. So if you can get started with this one right away, you're gonna be that much ahead of the game. Well, was I right? Yeah, those tips were fantastic, weren't they? Those are the kind of things I wish I knew before I started. Those are the kind of tips that are gonna help you with this preparedness factor. This preparedness factor that's going to help move you into SCD success. And I want that for you. I know you're gonna have that. So I hope that your pencil was furiously writing. I hope you got all those things down. I just wanna say a huge blanket thank you. Thank you to all the wonderful ladies that gave their opinions, that answered that question so freely, and gave so much of themselves. That was fantastic. So thank you, ladies, for doing that. It's always so fantastic to hear from SCD veterans because we can learn from them and then we can help others on their SCD journey. Fantastic, love it. I want to thank you so much for joining me today, for watching this video, and for being a part of the Gut Love community. I'm Karen Haley. I'm the digestive coach for moms, and if you liked this video and you want to hear more of it, join us in the Gut Love community for moms. I'd love to see you over there. The link is right below this video, and don't forget, if you do join us, you'll be getting a free copy of that top 10 list I talked about, the top 10 things I wish I knew before starting SCD. All right, I will see you in the community. Thanks so much for watching, and until we chat again, I'm gonna wish you much gut love and much happiness always. Bye for now. Literally. Used there. So you're thinking about trying the specific carbohydrate diet. You've got to burp. I'm so amazing. I gotta start again here.